Titan League, Chapter 2, Calling Old Friends. A week had passed since Wally West, aka Kid Flash, returned to the land of the living. Bart Allen, aka Impulse, had happily returned Wally's superhero name to him. Yet, despite getting his name back, Wally didn't rejoin the team. Even Artemis stepped away. Dick Grayson, too, chose not to return. Instead, he headed back to Bloodhaven. In the city of Hope Haven, Starfire patrolled the sky, talking to Dick through her communicator. "I am so filled with joy that Wally is back," she said warmly. "Yeah, it's great and all," Dick replied, "but I just don't think it's right for me to go back to the team or the Titans. Not to lead again." "Then why not come here and hang out with me?" Starfire offered, landing gracefully on a skyscraper. "Just you and me, working side by side?" Dick asked with a smirk. "Who says all we have to do is work?" Starfire replied with a huge smile. The comms went silent for a moment. "Dick, did I lose you?" she asked, tapping the device in her left ear. "Oh, no, sorry. My mind wandered for a second. Yeah, that sounds like fun. I'll head down there first thing tomorrow," Dick replied, then turned off his comlink. Out of the shadows stepped Raven. She walked over to Starfire. "He's coming?" she asked, her tone flat and emotionless. Starfire nodded and glanced at her. "Did you tell him about the team you've put together here?" Raven asked. Starfire shook her head. The next day, Dick Grayson sped down the highway on his motorcycle, en route to Hope Haven. Out of the corner of his eye, he noticed a black car in his right mirror. "That car's been behind me for an hour now. Something's off," Dick muttered, speeding up. The black car stayed on his tail. "Okay then, let's dance," he growled, weaving through traffic and increasing speed. Still, the car kept up. Finally, Dick pulled off a stunt that would have killed a lesser man. He gunned the throttle, dropped low, and slid the bike under a semi-truck. On the other side, he leaped off the highway and onto the streets of Hope Haven. The car couldn't follow. Dick pulled up to the address Starfire had given him. "You've got to be kidding me," he muttered, pulling off his helmet. The building stood on the outskirts of the city and was shaped like a giant T. The doors slowly opened, and out walked Coriander, aka Starfire, wearing casual clothes. "Hey there, handsome," she said with a smile, walking up and kissing him. Dick kissed her back, then pulled away. "So, you going to tell me what's going on here?" "Well," Corey said, playing with her hair. "Who else is here?" he asked, narrowing his eyes. "Raven, Beast Boy, Miss Martian, and Superboy," she replied, still twirling her hair. Dick nodded, grabbed his bag, and followed her inside. The interior was nearly identical to the one in Jump City. "Victor help you build this?" Dick asked as they stepped into the elevator. Corey nodded. "So you brought me here to lead a new team of Teen Titans?" he asked. "By X-Hal, no," Corey gasped. "I wanted you here because I love you, Dick." "And I love you, Corey," Dick said, softening, "but this feels like a setup. Did you tell anyone I was coming?" Corey shook her head. "No." "Interesting," Dick muttered. "I had a black car tailing me the whole way here. Did you lose it?" "Oh, come on, Corey. You really think I can't lose one car?" The elevator doors opened into the ops room. Inside stood Garfield Logan, Beast Boy, Rachel Roth, Raven, Connor Kent, Superboy, and McGann Moore Z's, Miss Martian. McGann and Connor held up a big sign, "Welcome Nightwing." "Hey, bro, good to see you!" Garfield grinned, hugging him. "Hey, Gar, nice to see you too," Dick said, patting him on the back. "You look like you're feeling the Aster, man," Connor joked. Dick chuckled. "Little bit." "We are all happy you are here," Raven said flatly. "Yeah, I can totally feel the enthusiasm," Dick replied. Corey giggled. "So, is this the whole team?" Dick asked, looking around. "We were hoping for 3 more, McGann said. Dick glanced at Corey. "Who?" "Well, Wally, Artemis, and Barbara," Corey admitted, twirling her fingers nervously. "Yeah, dude, Kid Flash is back. It'd be awesome to have him on the team again. And wherever he goes, Tigress goes. And just think how good Batgirl's gotten training with Batman again." Garfield rambled. Dick sighed and looked at the group. "So, you all just assumed I'd jump at the chance to be on a team again? And that I'd bring Wally, Artemis, and Babs with me?" "Well, yeah," Connor said bluntly. Dick turned and walked back to the elevator. Thanks for the invite, but no thanks. As the doors closed, Rachel muttered, "Who saw that coming?" "Oh yeah, me." She walked off. "Now what, sis?" Garfield asked McGann. She shrugged. "I don't know, Gar." Down on the street, Dick had just started his bike when Connor walked out of the tower. "So that's it? The big, bad Nightwing can't work with a team anymore?" Connor asked. "Dude, you know why I left the team," Dick snapped. "No, man, I don't. No one really does. You said you needed a break. Well, looks like the break's over." Connor tossed a newspaper at him. Dick caught it and looked at the headline. A huge photo of Nightwing was plastered across the front page with the title, "Nightwing Back in Action." "I left to find Wally. That's done. Now I can go back to living a normal life," Dick said, tossing the paper back. "Man, who are you trying to fool?" Connor shot back. "You and I both know this is your life, Dick." Dick jumped off his bike and got in Connor's face. "You think you know me? Up until a few years ago, you didn't even know what life was," Dick shouted. Connor grabbed Dick's shirt and pulled him close. "You're right, jackass, but it was my friends who got me through that. And guess what, asshole? You're one of those friends. So why not let us help you through whatever crap you're dealing with?" Dick's eyes widened. He pulled away, brushing his shirt down. "What do you know?" he asked. "Just that you and the big bad bat had one hell of a falling out," Connor said. "Clark told you," Dick muttered. Connor nodded. Dick leaned against his motorcycle and sighed. "Yeah, a falling out would be putting it nice." Connor walked over and placed a hand on his friend's shoulder. "Come back inside, man. You'll always have a home with us." Dick nodded slowly, and the two old friends walked back into the tower. Together.
Psst! Hey, you! Yeah, you! No, you right there! Are you a fan of Power Rangers? Do you like listening to people just randomly talk about all kinds of subjects? Well, then do I got the podcast for you. Zero to Hero, the podcast. Jim and Billy, the bulk and skull of podcasting, talk about everything from Power Rangers to Gundams to who has the better hairstyle. These guys don't care. It doesn't matter to these guys. They will talk about it. You need to go check them out. That's Zero to Hero, the podcast. On Apple, Google, Spotify, you name it, they're on there. So go check them out. Trust me, you'll enjoy it.
One week later, Nightwing had been with the new team for a full week now and had officially named them the Titan League. In the training room, Nightwing and Starfire sparred in sync, just like old times. Corey twirled her staff behind her back, keeping her eyes on Dick. "Are you going to ask them?" she said with a teasing grin. "I will, when I feel the time is right," Nightwing replied, swinging one of his Eskrima sticks toward her. She blocked it effortlessly and countered with a spinning kick. "You know we could use their help," she said, launching into the air and firing starbolts at him. "I know, Star, but I also know Wally, and asking him takes a bit of finesse," Dick said, flipping and dodging with practiced ease. "They're coming for a visit later today. I'll talk to him then." 2 hours later, Pizza Ranch. Dick and Corey sat in a booth at the local pizza ranch halfway through their food when Wally West, aka Kid Flash, and Artemis Croc, aka Tigress, walked in. Corey jumped to her feet and waved. "Over here, you two!" she called loudly, causing the entire restaurant to glance over. Dick slouched in his seat, slightly embarrassed. Wally grinned as he and Artemis made their way over. "Hey there, you guys," Wally said, his smile wide as ever. "Thanks for inviting us," Artemis added. "Thanks for coming. I know you two must be busy," Dick said. "Not really, man," Wally replied with a heavy sigh. Artemis noticed and gently placed her hand on his back. "Well, we might be able to help with that," Corey said playfully. "Oh, really?" Wally perked up, and Artemis raised an eyebrow with interest. Corey nudged Dick, who was mid-bite into a slice of cheeseburger pizza. "What?" he said, mouth full. Corey gave him a sharp look. Okay. Dick set his pizza down and leaned forward. So, Corey and I started a new team. We're calling it the Titan League, and we'd like to know if you two... Yes! Wally and Artemis shouted in unison, cutting him off. Elsewhere, local bookstore. Across town, Rachel and McGann sat in a quiet bookstore with Barbara Gordon, a.k.a. Batgirl. Thanks for joining us here, Barb, McGann said warmly. Rachel nodded silently, eyes glued to the book in her hands. This about Dick's new team? Barbara asked, catching McGann slightly off guard. Yeah, it's called the Titan League, McGann replied. And Corey, Rachel added, still reading. What? Barbara blinked. They co-lead, Rachel said, flipping a page. The point is, McGann said, shooting Rachel a look, we'd really like you to join us. Who's on this league, exactly? Barbara asked. Well, there's Dick and Corey, me and Connor, Garfield and Rachel, and we're hoping Wally and Artemis join too, McGann explained. Barbara chuckled. So, 4 couples. Is this a team or a group therapy retreat? Rachel slammed her book shut. Boom! The sound echoed through the quiet store. Look, yes, we're couples, but we're also heroes, which is more than I can say for you since you hung up your cape 2 months ago, she snapped. Barbara stood, getting in her face. McGann quickly stepped between them. Barbara, Rachel, this is not how our meeting was supposed to go, she said, holding them apart. Rachel gave Barbara one last glare, then sat back down and reopened her book. If you're done being a hero, we understand, McGann said gently, but thank you for coming either way. Barbara hesitated. Look, I stepped away because of Bruce and his tantrum over Jason, but if Dick is leading, she paused at Rachel's look, and Corey, then maybe I'm willing to give it a shot. McGann beamed and hugged her. This is going to be so great. 1 week later, Titan Tower. Wally, Artemis, and Barbara officially moved into the tower. Barbara's room was the only single suite. She lay on her bed, staring at a photo of a boy from college. Bobby, I miss you. You were so cool to be with. But damn, you had a cold heart, she whispered, setting the picture down. Knock, knock. It's open, she called, sitting up. The metal door slid open, revealing Dick. Hey, Babs, how's the new room? He asked casually. It's huge. Way more space than one person needs, she replied. Yeah, most of the rooms are like that, he said, leaning on the doorframe. So, where's Corey? She asked with a sarcastic edge. She's out with Rachel, trying to calm her down after your little bookshop clash. Yeah, sorry about that, Barbara sighed. I just didn't like what she said. Dick stepped inside. So, want to tell me what happened with Bruce? You know what happened? When he found out about Jason? Dick rolled his eyes and sighed. Yeah, I know, but trust me, this place isn't going to turn into that. Suddenly, a loud siren blared through the hallways. What's that? Barbara asked, standing up. Down the hall, Garfield, Connor, and McGann sprinted past the doorway. It's the alarm! Something's going on! Dick said. Barbara and Dick bolted after them, sprinting down the corridor toward whatever danger awaited, together.
What you have just listened to is a product created by the Three Ranger Bros Studio.
Hosted by 3 cosplaying fathers who
happen to be massive geeks of all sorts of fandoms.
They are Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger,
Cosplay Dude 637,
and Tai Tiger.
The studio covers different types of YouTube videos, TikToks, podcasts, and live streams.
If you wish to find out who cosplays who, the YouTube channel, the TikTok accounts, and the podcasts, and all of the other social media platforms,
please go to the 3rangerbrostudios.com.